You are Locked On Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Eddie Lampkin, Syracuse's starting center for the entirety of this season, is out of eligibility, so he cannot come back. He averaged 12 points and 10 rebounds. He was ACC honorable mention this year, which I'm surprised by, not because Eddie Lampkin didn't deserve to be honorable mention all ACC. It's because he actually performed to that level. I think I was pleasantly surprised that he performed to that level. He was a little bit better than advertised, in my opinion, and it will not be easy for Syracuse basketball to replace his offense and his rebounding. Was he a great defender? Absolutely not, but he gave you 12 and 10, and he was a double-double machine on a nightly basis. Naheem McLeod is the backup center. He is out of eligibility as well. Syracuse basketball also didn't recruit a center from high school for this upcoming season. So when you look at the Orange's roster for 2025-26, there's no center on there. Not one center. So let's talk about some players that they can go after, right? Who are some targets? Well, I would keep waiting. As of right now, I don't really see anyone in the portal where I'm like, yep, that's a starting center that we desperately need. We need to go get him, aside from one player and one player only, and that's Owen Freeman from Iowa. But Owen Freeman, I'm going to let you all in a little secret, he's not coming to Syracuse. He entered the portal. He's got a do not contact tag on him. He's not coming to Syracuse, okay? He would be great. He'd be a great fit for the Syracuse, but he's not coming. Other than that, I don't really see any other center out there that I'm like, yeah, that's who we need. That's the type of guy. I would keep waiting to see what other starting centers become available. But really, it all depends on the price of the centers. And if the price is just too high, then Syracuse shouldn't even get one. Let me explain my reasoning, okay? And I have before, but let's talk about it again, shall we? That was in a podcast a few weeks ago talking about transfer portal strategies. The center position on average in the transfer portal goes for the most money. On average, all things being equal, the center goes for the most. For context, it was reported that Eddie Lampkin's NIL deal with Syracuse was $850,000. On 24/7 Sports, okay, Eddie Lampkin was ranked as the 33rd overall center in the portal. Frank Anselem, his reported NIL deal with Louisville was $300,000. He was the 53rd ranked center in the transfer portal. Let's talk about a point guard, Malik Mack. His reported NIL deal with Georgetown was $400,000, and he was the 7th best point guard overall in the transfer portal. Yeah, centers are very, very, very expensive. So here's the best strategy, in my opinion. You either pay the price for a top flight center in the portal. For example, if Owen Freeman said, I wanted to go to Syracuse this whole time, that's the team I had my eye on, you pay him, because that guy is going to be a first or second team all ACC player for you next season had he come to Syracuse. He is elite. You pay him. But if you're not going to pay the top centers, then don't go after one at all. And yes, you can build not just a tournament team without a traditional starting center. You can build one of the best teams in the entire country without a traditional big man. And the best example of that is the Houston Cougars, a number 1 seed in the NCAA tournament, and they won their game earlier today against the 16 seed in decisive fashion, of course. Houston does not have a single rotation player taller than 6'9". Not one. By the way, they were built the same way last year. And I understand they were knocked out in the Sweet 16 as a number 1 seed. Do you remember what happened in that game against Duke with Houston? Jamal Shead had a freak injury in that one. It ended all their hopes of winning the championship. Imagine if he stayed healthy for the whole tournament. Houston might have won the whole thing. And they would have done it without a big bruising center that you need. So yes, does Syracuse basketball, in theory, need a starting center because they don't have Naheem McLeod? Not really Naheem McLeod, but they don't have Eddie Lampkin? Absolutely. I'm not going to disagree with you on that. But either pay the top price for the top big men who are really going to be difference makers, or don't pay one at all. There is no reason to go out and get the 40th ranked center in the transfer portal that'll give you 8 points and 5 rebounds a game. It's not worth it because that player is not going to be as impactful as a guard that you can get that is a much better guard relative to center for half the price. Does that make sense? Malik Mack, $400,000 was his NIL deal with Georgetown. 7th best point guard available. Frank Anselem, 53rd ranked center, is worth $300,000. Centers are not cheap. And Syracuse basketball, again, pay the top guys or don't pay one at all.